We're going to start off, and the way that we're going to do these games is from the tip-off time, the earliest one to the latest one. So we're going to start off with the 11:30 tip-off Eastern time, 11:30 Eastern time. Penn State's going to take on Furman, and both these teams are undefeated. Penn State 3-0. We see Furman at 2-0. This is going to be a really good matchup. We see Jalen Pickett leading the squad for the Nittany Lions, and he has looked very good in the first 3 outings for Penn State, averaging just under 15 points per game. He is perfect so far from the free-throw line. His field goal percentage is just under 45%, doing a very good job for that Penn State squad. This is a team that, first, if you've listened to our show throughout the college basketball season so far, we've talked about how deep the Big Ten is going to be. And I mean, when you looked at our predictions, we were completely we were so off between each other. Like, I think you had Iowa in first place. I had them in 5th.
Yeah.
Like, it's just such a deep conference. And Penn State's going to be one of those teams I think are going to be on the bubble in this conference. And we're going to really see them shine, I think, in this tournament. But they have a tough matchup in round 1, Steve.
They do. Furman was 1 second away from an NCAA berth last March. They lost to Chattanooga, in overtime. Their 2 fifth-year seniors, Mike Bothwell and Jalen Slauson, I think they're using that moment to motivate their teammates this year. The Paladins have lived and died by the three-pointer, and Bothwell's continued to fire early and often there for Furman. He put up 25 against Belmont. And Belmont's a sneaky team. They're not going to necessarily be a tournament team, but they're going to be a tough matchup all year. He's averaging 20.5 points over the first 2 games. Slauson is really looked towards for rebounding. He's an elite defender. He was an All-Southern Conference defensive player last year. But his long-range shot has improved as well, and he's been able to mark up some threes, as has Marcus Foster. They need to control the perimeter because Penn State's defense, that's what is going to make and break Penn State. Can they shut down some of the higher octane teams in the Big Ten? If they do, they're getting pretty consistent scoring so far. I want to say, I think there's 5 guys that are averaging in double figures for them. You have Pickett, you have Cameron Winter, Andrew Funk. I love watching Miles Dredd play, Seth Lundy. And Pickett put up a triple-double against Butler in the Gavitt Tip-Off Classic. So, and they're shooting like 47.8% beyond the arc. That surprised me. I know they were pretty good on the perimeter, but from three-point land, I didn't think they were that good. So, yeah, this is going to be a really interesting match. I would imagine that Furman is going to try to go out early, try to hit some threes, and then force Penn State maybe to I don't want to see be more aggressive offensively, but perhaps not let Penn State get into a penetrating game and see if they can keep Penn State on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. But as an opening game for this tournament, I can't think of a better opening game with this 8 field because it's going to really kind of get the fans there and get the fans at home into it because you're going to see 2 very distinctive approaches to the game. But if Penn State's defense can shut down Furman's perimeter game, I think Penn State can move on to the next round.
Yeah, the perimeter game is going to be huge for Penn State to stop. Just like you said, Bothwell averaging over 20 points a game. I will say, though, not only does Penn State have to worry about the perimeter game, they have to worry about, getting the rebounds. In the Belmont game, Furman out-rebounded Belmont by 20, 44-24. And this is something that they have looked really good at. They have 2 players, Hine and Slauson, averaging each over about 7 rebounds per game. That is awesome. That is exactly what you need for your forwards, especially if you have some perimeter guards making some nice shooting. This is a well-rounded team that we are really not many people are talking about, and it's because they sit in the Southern Conference. We're going to hear about Furman a lot more this year. I think this is a team that, just like you said, was 1 second away, 1 shot away from losing to Chattanooga to make it to the March Madness tournament last year. This could be one that is right on the bubble again to make their way into another, to get that bid for the Southern Conference, if you will. I'm looking forward to this first matchup. It's going to be a really good way to start this tournament. I'm going to lean towards the upset right off the bat and say Furman wins this game. What do you think?
I wouldn't say you would be wrong on that. I mean, I guess I'm placing more faith in Penn State's defensive prowess, but Slauson, he controls the boards defensively and offensively, and that could, even if their long range shooting's off a little bit, if Slauson can control the offensive boards, I think that can offset that a little bit. And so I would not be shocked. Again, we always say never bet basketball, especially college basketball, because there's so many dynamics there that make the games more competitive. But if I was a betting man, I would say don't bet on anything at all, unless you want to bet some kind of exotic bet, like who's going to hit the first basket or whatever.
Right.
Just stay away. I mean, just stay away from betting as a rule. Don't ruin what's going to be a terrific tournament by, oh my God, I bet the over or whatever it would be. Just focus on the game. There's plenty to watch in this game, and I cannot wait for the 11:30 tip off.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Pickett's a fantastic player. He's also leading the team in rebounds as well. That makes me a little concerned when I look at that stat about how Furman won the rebounding game by 20. Pickett plays a lot of guard play. So if he's leading the team in rebounds, makes you wonder if they're going to have a hard time keeping up on the offensive and defensive glass when they're playing this Furman team. This is going to be the first game of the tournament. 11:30 is the tip-off time on Thursday. Going to be a fantastic outing. Make sure you check that one out.